Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Ikhlas Salsabila from TBI1, and right now I'm going to review a thesis for my senior Wantiles dari Panggabean with rank number 21, 20, 3, 000, and 54 with title The Effect of Two-State Two-Scenario Model on the Student's Reading Narrative Text Ability. Okay, so the thesis summary is the research topic is the effect of two-state two-story model on the student's reading narrative text ability. The purposes are to measure the student's reading narrative text ability before the treatment, to measure the student's reading narrative text ability after the treatment, and to prove if there is a significant effect from two-state two-story model on the student's reading narrative text ability. The method used in this research is quantitative method with experimental research, and the main finding from this research is there is a significant effect from two-state two-story model on the student's reading narrative text ability. Now we are going to review the title. The title is clear and specific because the researcher provide the variables well, the population, and also the place. Okay, and this research in this title is researchable because as we know that narrative text is one of main component in reading, and there are some cooperative learning to improve them, and one of them is two-state two-story model. Okay, now we are going to the introduction and statement problem. The research gap from this research is there are some problems that make the student narrative text is fail. Many of them didn't understand narrative text when they study. They look very bored and don't have any interest when study about narrative text. And many of the students have difficulty in understanding and comprehending the text. And there is no model used in the class to improve the students' reading narrative ability. The problems are relevant because this problem answer to the score of students' reading narrative text ability in the pretest, which is a fail. And the problems are logically built because the researcher introduce us first to the variables, make the list of the identification of the problems, and then offering a treatment which is two-state two-story model on the students' reading narrative text ability. Okay. And right now we are going to the literature review. The theoretical foundation from this research is quoted by some experts such as Mem Eka for reading, Masida for narrative text, and two-state two-story model from lots of related findings. But is it update? Because this research is conducted in 2025, so the limit of the year of journal is 2020. But the researcher used a journal from 2019, and Okay, now we are going to the methodology. The research design from this research is experimental research with pre-test and post-test with control group design. So the experimental class is 8.1 and the control class is 8.2. The sampling from this research is non-probability sample with purposive sample because the teacher suggested the researcher to choose 8.1 as the experimental class because they have a lower score in narrative text. And the instrument used in this research is test with 20 items of multiple choice. This is the instrument. Okay, 20 items of multiple choice. Okay, so the score is 100 times 5. Each item times 5. Okay, now the data collection. Data collection is data analysis used by SPSS 26, and the researcher used two statistical. The first is statistical descriptive, use mean, median, and standard to summarize the score of the students in the pre-test and the post-test for experimental and control class. And the researchers also use statistical inference to test the hypothesis and to determine if there is a significant effect from two-state to three model on the students' reading narrative text ability. So that's the method match with the research. Yes, I think it does because this is a quantitative experimental. So the researcher want to prove if there is a cause and effect from the two-state to three model on the students' reading narrative text ability. And because this is experimental research, the researcher can measure the ability of the students before treatment and after treatment with pre-test and also post-test. So what is the weakness from this research? So the researcher use the same question and same choices in the pre-test and the post-test, but the researchers make it randomized, so it can be the sampling that didn't really understand the text, the two-state two-stream model, but because they can remember the question from the previous test. Okay, and in the conclusion, the researchers state clearly the findings. Okay, as you can see, before learning by using two-state two-three model, the reading narrative text ability of the student is fail. And after the treatment, after reading two-state two-three model on the reading narrative text ability, the ability was good. And because the T count was higher than T tail, so there is a significant effect from two-state two-three model on the students' reading narrative text ability. So the researcher already answered three formulation of the problem in conclusion. Okay, I think that's all from my review. But there is no sign. Okay, I think that's all from me. Let's close this review with salam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.